We have flags back there and one here, so.
Okay, we're in the same direction.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending this evening's meeting. We just have a few routine items to hopefully approve here. Just need a motion to accept the minutes of the regular meeting on December 10th. In order file the minutes of Committee on Special Education for the dates listed, and to accept in order file the minutes of the Committee on Preschool Special Education for 12/12 of 24. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Amanda, seconded by? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Okay. Any public comments?
I have one.
Okay.
I just want to say, my hat goes off to the Booster Club for what they did last Friday, and for everybody that showed up on board and the meet and greet. We had a great turnout. My highlight was not just that the boys won, but we had one participant that shot into the foul shot at each end. And this person shot 6% during her practices. But knowing this person, even when she's under pressure, she still came through and she switched it.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that wasn't there.
I did. Touch and go. I don't know how I did it, but.
No, my hat was off, and that was a great turnout. Everybody had a good time.
Thanks, sir. We just entered public comments. You have any public comments?
We're just here to observe.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. So that concludes public comment. Moves us to our committee. So we have personnel, Mr. Canini.
The agenda is pretty much routine for this time of year, except for a couple of highlights. We have 2 retirements. Doreen Miller, she's been with the district since 1997, and Donna Pettucci since 2013. Thank you for your service to both of them. And 2 late ads. We have Erin Natali as a master social worker, and she was hired today, and Kyle McKeegan, middle school social studies. Welcome. What?
Middle school
Science?
science.
Oh, sorry about that.
Those interviews were this morning, so I apologize for the late addition to that.
I'm getting used to it, that's okay.
If we can hire them and get them on board,
No, I
we're
agree.
doing it.
You're fine.
Those are a couple good ones too, they show good potential.
Other than that, it's routine.
Any questions for them? Okay. By consent, that carries.
So before we move on, I do want to recognize one of the folks you just appointed out there, long-term leave, is Kennedy Schwalm. Schwalm.
This is what I go by, Miss S, when I teach.
So I just want to recognize you and give the board an opportunity to put a face with a name. As you know, we don't have everybody come, but she was excited about the opportunity, so she's here tonight. Thanks for being here and welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there was a student teacher and loved her, so.
They cried over
Great addition.
That's awesome.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you for being with us. Okay.
Yep, so you have two other items that have to be approved separately. One is tenure, which we discussed in executive session last month. That's Mr. William Strong. He's up for tenure this month. You know my recommendation is I support him receiving tenure by the board this evening. The second is an MOA that has to do with the transportation department, specifically bus drivers. It has to do with them being compensated for a 30-minute lunch when they're on a trip that's over 6 hours, which happens about a half a dozen times a year, which seems fair and appropriate. So those are the 2 additional recommendations I'm making that need to be addressed this evening.
So you heard the recommendation, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves tenure for William Strong effective February 10th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Amanda, seconded by Vince, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the MOA regarding bus drivers' field trips. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Heidi, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Okay. Perfect. So that moves us to athletics. Mr. Fitzgerald's not here?
He's not. Yep, he let us know a few hours ago he would be able to be here, so Ryan caught up with me. I was at the meeting as well. We did discuss the mergers. Those are on for approval this evening. Just get an update on that. It's a tight time frame. The board has to approve those because they have to be in by, the football one by February 1. So we're up against our last meeting. Ryan does a great job with that. I am the Section 2 Merger Committee Chairperson. I work every single quarter with school districts that don't get these in on time, that don't have their paperwork in order, that haven't had conversations at the board or committee level. It gets very, very messy, so I'm very happy that Ryan does a really nice job with this and brings it to our committee well ahead of time to talk about it. I obviously recommend that those mergers be approved as written on the agenda this evening. We talked about girls flag football. As you know, there was some talk here in the high school about girls flag football for next year. It was skipping quite a few of the normal steps that we take in approving a new activity. So one of the things we brought up in the athletic committee was, can we get that program procedure in place so that we all have it in writing, and it does not exist in writing. I expect that Ryan will have a draft of that for us tomorrow at athletic committee.
Thank you.
Tomorrow. Athletic committee. I have seen a draft of that. It looks pretty good. We want the board committee to make comments on that. And there's something going on where the football committee in Section 2, which is certainly above us, is talking about different configurations for football as soon as next year. There's no real public knowledge of exactly what they're looking to do that can be shared at this time, but I don't want there to be something we have to talk about next month and have folks say, hey, did you even know there was something happening? There's something that might be happening is what I can say at this point. And once we hear from them, we'll share with the athletic committee and then back with the board. I think that was it. You were there, right? I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That's what I had in my notes, and that's what Ryan and Mr. Carpenter and I talked about.
So we do have the resolution, so it be resolved, the Board of Education of Hudson Falls Central School District approves the following fall sport 2025 sports merger. We just need approval for the football all levels, as well as the girls varsity swimming and diving. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
How many we have?
Yes.
6.
Any other questions for athletics? Okay, that moves us to audit. Mr. Johnson?
The audit committee met last Wednesday, and on the agenda, we have the treasurer's reports. If you look at the month ended November 30th, 2024, in our general fund, we have roughly $8.7 million. And for total cash with all of our additional funds, it's $12.255 million. So at this point in time, that puts us in good shape moving forward throughout the rest of the year. It looks like that we've obviously December's an expensive month for us with bond payments, but it'll get us to our spring sustaining balances for state aid. So moving forward, we're in good shape cash-wise. We also have the extracurricular account balances along with the detail. Basically, it's the basic stuff that you see. We're seeing some fundraisers, we're seeing some youth tournaments, deposits and the withdrawals for those, some bake sales, different things like that you're seeing. So there is quite a bit of activity happening. We have $10,000 in deposits and $4,500 in disbursements. So we're starting to see that activity pick up. In your package, you have the revenue status and appropriation status reports for the year, along with the monthly bills. If anybody has any questions on the bills, please feel free to contact myself or Mrs. Schwab, and we'll be able to give you any detail that you need on that. And also, you have budget transfers in the packet. We have 3 or 4 budget transfers, but they were below the amount where the board has to have any action on them. But just for transparency, we share every transfer we do at this time. So the only other thing that we have on the agenda that's an action item is a resolution for disposal. And these are some speakers that we had stored down in the middle school that were originally purchased in 2002. For in-district use. The technology is obsolete at this point in time, but we do have an individual that is interested in purchasing them to use them, so we will recoup some money back on these speakers. So the resolution will be for us to dispose of them, and we will also sell them to recoup some money back. And then the only other thing we did is we talked about, obviously, budget. That's a big item right now, and basically the schedule for what we're doing with budget, when we're going to start getting some more concrete numbers. I think today kind of is a start because the governor did the state of the state. So within the next week or so, we should be seeing some state aid runs with an idea on exactly where they're looking to go with state aid. So really, it'll really pick up quickly at the February meeting where we'll have a baseline budget. We should have some idea of a starting point for revenue figures and start moving forward through there. So.
Does anybody have any questions of the government? So I just need a motion to approve the November treasurer's report. Megan, seconded by?
Second.
Vince, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the liquidation of the audio equipment originally purchased used in 2002. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Vince, seconded by?
Second.
Megan, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Okay, that moves us to transportation. Dr. Steve.
We have our monthly DOT report right there. We are 6 for 6 on the year with our inspections. Big thank you to our mechanics. Some of those guys are still working mechanics and driving routes. There's our trip report. You can see how many trips we've made this month. We have one bus that's out of service with an engine issue, currently being fixed. And other notable stuff is we have a in-ground lift that we're looking to replace. We get some different quotes and talking to some different companies about that. And as always, there's our fuel prices on the bottom. That is it for transportation.
Questions for Brent? Okay, includes transportation. And it goes to buildings and grounds, Mrs. Bowling.
So we met on December 18th, so some of this information may be a little stale, correct me if you need to. So we were working towards phase 3 submission. The renderings were reviewed with the building principals, discussed possible changes. Some of the spaces were set, some still in progress, but I think still working towards a March submission deadline.
Correct.
For phase 3. So. And then Mr. Manny updated us on some of the in-house work that's going on, lighting upgrades. They were working primary school, kindergarten center, and then doing kind of, not an experiment, but a system compatibility check in the high school gymnasium with some lighting. I don't know what the progress has been in any of that sense. Painting was slated to wrap up in January across the buildings. There was some minor warranty work on boilers as the system's up and going and working the kinks out. Some safety shades were added for lockdown safety purposes. The bus lift that Ryan mentioned we spoke about. And lead testing. There was remediation that was completed, resampling. I know that I've seen at least one of the letters come out saying that it's since been
Yeah.
satisfied.
Yeah, 2, did you send up, is there 2 today, Brett? Was it high school, middle school? I saw those 2 for sure. Yeah, so working through it.
Yeah.
They did a really nice job on getting those remediated and retested, so happy with the results.
And lastly, there was no updates on property purchases. So, that's all I have.
Just since then, there was a meeting about the cafeteria, the high school cafeteria spaces. We had the high school principal, that's why I'm looking out at Jess out there, and our cafeteria manager, whose name is escaping me right now, that's Jim Murray, sorry. Jim has done a great job laying out the equipment. He saw some of the stuff in the renderings and also some of the stuff in the drawings that he thought would need to be moved around. So we had a really nice conversation with our architect, with me and Jess and Kevin and Mary Kay and Jim right at the table. So we'll be seeing some new renderings. We also discussed some of the color choices in the cafeterias that are, there's some lime green in there. That's a source of a lot of conversations. So we'll get some new renderings and we'll be back in touch. But I think a step in, it looks really, really nice, the serving lines and what's happening for our kids here and our cafeteria staff as well. Just to put it out there, since that heat bill passed, worth knowing that our cafeterias at the high school and our kitchen at the high school will have climate control, AKA air conditioning, so that we can keep that in service and keep the temperature under the 88 degrees as required in the law at all times, because that's not the case right now. That's all I have for extra on that one.
Any questions? Include buildings and grounds, we have policy.
Policy committee did not meet because there are no new policies. Good.
Easy enough. Perfect. And that moves us to advocacy.
So I only have a couple of things for you. The ASBA dinner is coming up next Thursday, and the topic is regionalization. So it's going to be a great, that'll be a great conversation. January 8th started session down in Albany, and we've got NISBA Lobby Day and Capital Conference, which is virtual, coming up. And then I'm going to have Dan speak to the PFA thing, because you're a science teacher, and I don't really understand anything other than it's bad.
Yeah, for sure.
PFAs are bad.
And Jeff and I will represent us at the legislative breakfast later on in the month. The actual date is in my calendar, but I don't have it right here in front of me.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be going down to Myers Center for that.
Fantastic.
So PFAS, PFAS, or people say it a lot of different ways. Again, you got it right. And there's a fact sheet linked in the advocacy committee for you. And there's also a link to Hands Out to Hudson, which is a group that's doing a lot of advocacy in this area. If you go through and look at their materials, I can see that some people in this room have been on some of the meetings online. I've been at two of the meetings in person. They actually have an in-person meeting tonight down at Port Edward School, so certainly none of us are there tonight because of our own meeting. If you haven't paid attention to this, it is worth at least reading the fact sheet and what's going on. There's a company called ESMI that operates down in the village of Port Edward, just down the hill from the school in the industrial park down there. It's a small industrial park. They are seeking permitting to burn soil that contains PFAS. And that plume is going to come up, and that plume will go over our schools and a great portion of our community. I live right across the canal, across the river, I should say, from where that happens. That's where I reside, in the Hudson Falls School District in the town of Port Edward. The Hands Out to Hudson folks are very watchdog with this, which I'm glad they're getting the word out. The meeting last week was at the village of Port Edward. I did attend, I did talk, I did represent the school and say that I was concerned about the number of deaths we've had in our community to young people from not common diseases or afflictions, not my exact words that night, and asked them to do whatever they could to please block this or make sure that this is not being released into our community. I believe that on February 3rd, before their next village meeting, they're going to have a public hearing, after which they're going to put in place a moratorium. I asked their lawyer that evening if that moratorium could stop this, since the permit's already been applied for. They said they believed it could. So we will see what happens, but if nothing else, take a look at it, at least read the fact sheet, excuse me, so that you know what's going on, but please know that I'm paying attention to it and making sure there's somebody from the school speaking out. Also, the Port Edward Superintendent, Ben Halsey, has been at the meetings, and he's doing the same for that community.
So my questions basically are for you and Jeff, because you were at the village meeting in person. Is this different than biochar? It's a
it's very similar, but it's a different set of chemicals that they're bringing in.
And it's a different company.
Correct.
So it's the same kind of argument, it's just, so like, how do we stop companies coming to our area? I mean, I'm assuming there's more than 2 horrific chemicals that they could potentially burn
Yep.
in our area. You know,
groups
so
of
what if we
chemicals.
block this one, biochar was blocked, then the next company with the next
Yeah.
horrible chemical comes to our area?
So I think the village, I don't, you can speak to Hudson Falls Village, but the moratorium that the village of Fort Edward presented the other evening, I believe would block all
All of this.
going forward. And it's the information on cancer rates in Washington County that's available on that website. And the first link that you have in that, the agenda for the advocacy committee meeting that we had, or we actually didn't have one, we put them on there. It's undeniable that this area has been polluted by many companies and provided a lot of negative health effects for the people that live here and live around here. So there's actually, this area's been designated with a special designation, which means that certain things can't be done here.
Yeah, we're a DAC, so,
Yeah.
which is a disadvantaged community based on the fact that we've had a lot of things with the wheelabrator and other things that have caused GE over the years.
So is this, because our area is very dense between Warren, Washington, and Saratoga County. So is it all 3 counties the moratorium would be, or it would just be Washington County?
By locality, so that's the village, very specific, the village of Fort Edward, because that's where that one company, ESMI, they're trying to...
Right, and biochar with
deal with that.
South Glens Falls.
Correct.
I guess that's what I'm saying, they're just hopping,
Town
they're
wall.
hopping 5 miles, but going to a different county.
And actually, the biochar was in our school district as well.
Right.
I don't know, Hudson Falls Village...
The plume, you mean, or the
actual
the
facility
industrial
would
park I
have
thought was
been...
in South Glens Falls?
But we own a portion, our school district encompasses a portion of that industrial complex across the river. It's a very weird line that you have to watch when this
Yeah.
happens. The last thing I saw today from the Hands Off the Hudson folks for their agenda tonight was to discuss a letter that Mayor Barton was going to be sending in to DEC, talking about how the public participation is required by ESMI to get this permit wasn't done properly, and therefore it should occur again. And they thought that would go a long way for the DEC not approving that permit, even before Fort Edward gets around to getting that moratorium passed, because they're required to have that public hearing before they can pass it.
Yes.
Anything different at your place?
No, that's what we talked about last night.
Thank you.
So there's the 2 village meetings.
Right on.
Yes.
And, the other thing, which is kind of similar, but not totally, the last piece of legislation before the new session starts included Governor Hochul vetoed having school board members on IDEA. So that pertains to us a lot of times in terms of things that we've come across in the recent past, like solar farms wanting to come to the area, and also the energy from the power line that's going through.
Chippy.
Chippy.
Champlain Hudson
Yes.
Power
A
Express.
lot of acronyms. Yes.
Sure.
And that's all I have for you.
And Amanda and I think, are already registered for the ASBA, so that may make you, right?
Yes.
That may make you want to go or not want to go.
Oh, I'm going.
Just so
Just
you
as
know, that we're the
BOCES
2
board
there.
member. Yeah.
But let Kelly know so she can get us registered.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Heidi? Okay, that concludes our committee reports. Then moves us to superintendent's report.
Yeah, so just 2 things on there. At last month's meeting, in executive session, I shared my goals, and we talked about a mid-year evaluation. I brought additional copies of the goals if you need them, but I think at this point, really 2 ways to go, and I'll leave it up to the board. We can have folks send feedback to Jeff on those goals, or you can meet in executive session to discuss those goals. What we said last meeting was, take a look at the goals, think of your comments, and come back to this meeting ready to either share them, I would say either in person, in executive session, or by email, if that works, whatever works best for the board. And the second piece is I echo Herb's comments on the green carpet event. I want to thank the Booster Club I want to thank everybody who took part in that, and also anybody who helped organize it, including Jody Supernaut, organizing it as our mentor coordinator, so we could get our new people there with our mentors. As you know, we went that way and tried to do something at a public event, because at our board meetings, they're later in the evening, and a lot of our new folks have young families, and they're trying to do their family stuff, and having folks come back to a board meeting on Tuesday is difficult, but sometimes at Friday night, we can get people out. I will admit, I missed my foul shot, so Jeff made me look bad. I will also tell you that Jeff missed his. I think Brian nailed his. Brian,
No, I missed mine.
Did you miss it too? Brian missed his?
I was lucky to hit the...
I had high expectations for Brian to make it.
So we made 3. I don't know, it was you and 2 other people.
I think Ryan.
Oh, Ryan Carvey better.
Me.
I think I think he did.
Yeah,
All right,
he did.
good enough. So there it is. There's the 3, the rest of us let you down. And we were beat,
I know I did, guys.
5. We lost 5-3 to the new teachers and their mentors. So congratulations to them.
It was playing that way, just so you all.
That's right, we want to make them feel good. Welcome them by losing to them immediately. That's what I have for tonight. And thank you all for the time over the holidays, and understanding the superintendent's reports haven't been out the last 3 weeks. This weekend, I spent getting rid of my children once again. And that just means now that Patrick drives off, but since Alexis was overseas, first semester was the big move-in back to St. Lawrence. So it's 2 cars and refrigerator and all that heavy stuff you gotta move. So that was what I did yesterday.
So to take it one step further with Dan's mid-year, does anybody have any questions pertaining to that? Do we need to continue on with emails? Anything like that? We can just kind of
I
agree?
just had just one minor comment, and so I don't know if you want to do that, how you want to do that, I can just email you, or you can. I
Sure.
can do it, but it doesn't matter how, it could take about a minute.
Does anybody want another copy to take with them tonight, or is everybody good?
Can I have one?
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Anybody else? You don't need them? Okay.
We can enter into executive session for a few minutes if you'd like.
Yeah, and then you can make your
let's do
comment
that.
rather than dragging it out through
Just do
email.
that.
We'll do that at the end?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do that. Okay. So that concludes the superintendent's report. I just need a motion to enter into executive session.
So.
Second. Oh.
Seconded by Amanda. All in favor?
Aye.
And we